Hey, record. Look at us doing things, making moves,
Whatever those,
taking
what do those
flight.
Gen Z people do? Like they start with the, I don't even know what that is.
Oh, you're talking about that's from like,
I don't know who that is.
that's like, brother, that's like 3 years ago. Let it go, let it go, let it go. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm sitting with so much anger at the betrayal that I felt this last week. And I love everybody that I love. So I think that might come up as we talk about Nice Girls Don't Win,
show off
Midnight
that book.
Library.
Show off those books.
Nice Girls Don't Win
Yes.
by Parvati Shallow. Existential
Yes.
Kinks. Sexy, and the Midnight Library.
I'm
Ooh,
excited.
deep.
I'm excited. So 3 books. We've got 3 books for today's episode. It all kind of, I don't know, waterfall down for us, or what do you call it? Snowballed. It all started with Parvati Shallow, Survivor winner. She's my idol. Always been obsessed with her since I watched her on Survivor. And then she released this book, and I read it, and I was like, Emma, you have to read this book. So Emma read the book, and then as we were reading the book, we realized that actually what helped trigger her getting out of her journey was reading Existential Kinks. So that was another book that was kind of a segue for her. So we went for that, Existential Kink, and we both went through hell the last 2 weeks between relationships and whatnot, and that's kind of how the Midnight Library came to be. Actually, it's a book that I've read like, I think COVID time or 4 or 5 years ago. And I liked it back then, but it doesn't really resonate with me at all. And then I have been getting signs. Like, I don't remember. Actually, one of my prior coworkers, she posted it on Instagram that she was reading it. Amel said that she bought it to start reading it at some point. And then my corporate job, they just started. This Thursday is the first session where they're doing like 6 sessions of like chapters of the Midnight Library where it's going to be like a book club talking. I was like, my God, is this a sign? I need to read this book again. So I was just traveling for work last week, and that's what I did. I just did the whole book throughout the trip. And Amel, you read it over the weekend, right?
Midnight Library, yeah, one day.
Yeah, you're like stayed up to like what, 1 a.m. or something. You're like, I'm so hooked.
And then the next morning it was like till 12 p.m. and I was just like, I'm not gonna stop. I need to see how this ends because I felt like I was Nora Seed. As a heads up, we are not protecting any of these books. We are going to spoil the shit out of them. So be prepared for spoilers. And even if we do spoil everything, still worth the read.
Spoilers.
Still worth the fucking read.
So before anyone gets upset, this is your warning. Close this episode, exit out, pause it on Spotify, whatever you're doing. Close that video if it was a short video and move on with your life. Read the 3 books and then come back and listen to the episode and let us know what you think.
Move on with your life. It's crazy.
Okay, you had a lot of comments you said on, well, let's start with Nice Girls Don't Win.
Yeah, I read it so long ago that we're gonna have a lot of cutting around silences as I look for my shit. But okay, you're not gonna love my first response to this book, if I'm being honest.
Let's go.
I felt like she was the typical white woman who started owning a brown experience, which all experiences are human. I get that. Like all feelings are human and whatever. But like, I just felt like she was trying to make her life sound harder than it was the whole book. I felt like when she talked about cheating, she tried to justify it and, like make us feel like, oh, of course you would cheat in that situation. No, I didn't feel that way. I did relate to a lot of the stuff she said, but that was the negative thing where I was like, I'm feeling like I'm like how we felt when we were watching Brene Brown, where it was like, I feel like I'm being sold to a little bit. I know she's using all her skills that she talked about picking up in this book, and it was hard for me to stay connected to her. But with that said, there was a lot to learn.
The part of you had hard times staying connected was, you said, like the white experience?
I think like when she talks about her life, I didn't feel much hardship in terms of, I think there was something about, like, for example, her brother hadn't died yet. He had just had a bad accident. And I think she was making it sound like the worst thing that ever happened, and I'm sure that was the worst thing that ever happened to
Mhm.
her. Uh, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a bitch. In comparison to my life, like, I felt yeah, I think her life was hard for
Mhm.
her. That's the best way to put it. But in comparison to my life, I was like, your parents sound like they protected you. They sound like they both worked really hard and like you didn't have to work or like deal with them fighting about money. Like you didn't she talks like she was poor, but she said like I was poor but didn't know I was poor. And I remember my feedback on that being like, if you didn't know you were poor, for me it's hard to feel like you were actually poor because I grew up without, and maybe her parents handled it differently than mine, but like there was no way I wasn't going to know we were without.
Mm.
One of the questions we ask people, like, in my line of work to understand how bad their financial situation is did you ever not know where your next meal is coming from?
Mm.
Like, do we not know where your next electric bill is coming
Mm.
from? And it sounded like her parents always figured it out after they got out of that really intense, crazy situation. They always figured it out.
Mm.
But I just don't know how, I don't think she was old enough to really process what they had gone through. I think those memories stick with you for sure when you're a baby, it all imprints, blah, blah, blah. But like, I just don't, yeah, yeah, that's all I got. I don't know how to summarize it. I'm going to look for notes that I put in here. I didn't want to disappoint you because I know you
No,
love her. I
no,
think
it's
this is your
listen,
hero.
that's okay. I can still love her and you can still have an opinion about how you felt. That's how you experienced the book, and that's okay too.
Love you so much.
On
Bye.
my end, though, I was able to relate to that, to be honest with you, because you do remember when I told you how my whole life I didn't think we were poor until I went back to Lebanon 10 years later, and I was like, hold on. No, no, this is like we were poor. It was not like, like mid-level. Yes, we always had a meal on the table, but we did have a lot of financial struggles through it out. But because we were doing better than people around us in the neighborhood we grew up in, it didn't mean that we still were not poor. Now I go and look back at it and I could see that this is not the norm. Like people don't grow up usually in those situations. And that kind of helped my mindset and like how I move in the world now, especially financially. Like I have financial trauma. And my financial trauma is that I'm afraid of security, of losing the money or whatnot. So that's why I am so passionate about it. Like this is such a big thing for me. But I didn't realize it back then. So I think that part of it for me, I was able to relate to her is that sometimes you can't tell in the moment because your parents do like the best they can. But if you look around and you're doing just like everyone else, it still doesn't mean that you are not poor.
I hear what you're saying.
You were even poorer, I guess, or different, or maybe harder upbringing that it was so clear to you. You didn't need to realize it down the road.
Say that everybody in my town knew we were
Mm-hmm.
struggling. Like everyone in my school knew we were in the
Mm-hmm.
hood. Everyone moved like it. The roads looked like it. The programs looked like it. The books we got looked like it. The classroom sizes looked like it. And even if we didn't have the language at the time to understand that, like, hey, there's too many kids in this classroom for this one teacher, like we I felt very aware that this environment, downtown Patterson was just something you had to get
Mm-hmm.
out of. And hearing my parents talk about money, knowing that had food stamps, knowing how my mom had to pawn jewelry to pay the fucking mortgage or the rent, like knowing the ins and outs of the financial problems we had. Some of that is just parenting. Like they could have chose to
Mm-hmm.
shelter us, but they just didn't have the schools and resources as fucking refugees. But also, if at home I didn't know, I would have known from the town that I was in and the conditions of everybody in that
Mm.
town.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, it's very clear for you. For me, it wasn't clear until I literally left my city and went to college and I saw other kids coming to this college because I went to a prestigious college in Lebanon. And until I saw like those kids coming there and they're like, what are we traveling this summer? Like, are you not coming with us? I'm like, and I was like lying, obviously, but I was like, oh, like we live in a very different world. What do you mean you're traveling this summer? Like, I'm just trying to keep my job. Like, I'm trying to not get, yeah. So, yeah.
No, I think that story resonates for me because there was my brother always gets so mad about this story, but like there was a time where we moved from this town over to the next town. The next town actually had better schools, better roads, better money, better everything. And when I got to that school, it was majority white people. Whereas the school I went to was black, Arab, Spanish, like everything under the sun except white. There was one ginger person that I remember. He was Jewish, and that's it. I remember that one white person. Everybody else was definitely not. Anyway, point is, I went to the white school, and it was the same thing. This girl, like I was a sophomore, and this girl was talking about, oh yeah, me and my family are going to like Aruba or Aspen or some shit for a family vacation. And all the kids were driving like Mercedes and stuff like that that was given to them by their parents. And I remember having so much rage towards them because I was jealous or envious of what they had and what I didn't have. And it hurt so bad to be in that system around people that I couldn't relate to at all, that I faked my address on my own at 16 and got back into the hood school so that I could feel like I fucking belong. And my brother would always be like, "You broke into prison. No, but like you had a better opportunity." And
Yeah.
I felt so
Yeah.
uncomfortable. I couldn't do it. I needed to go
You
back.
didn't
So when
belong.
we talk about financial trauma and comfort, yeah, I definitely clung to comfort over what was
Which is
better.
what Parvati's parent did when they actually escaped the cult at the beginning. So a little backstory: she was raised in a cult. They were part of an cult in Florida, and then eventually one day they just woke up and realized, like, oh my God, this is a cult. We can't have this, happen to our kids. Parvati was born at that point. I think she was like 3 or 4 years old, whatever it is. And then they escaped in the middle of the night. They went to California for 6 months. And they're like, no, we don't fit here. This is too scary. The cult is better. And went back to the cult. This is crazy. Like, I mean, I don't want to say crazy, but this is really like you get out, but like sometimes like that trauma, like if you're used to it, you just dive back and like escape back into the prison.
Yeah, it's the devil
Yeah.
right? Like it may be an abusive relationship or whatever, like an unhealthy
Mm-hmm.
home, but like it's the devil you
Yeah.
know. And so I definitely relate to what you're saying about like having to hear other people talk about what they have to really understand how
Mm-hmm.
much you don't
Mm-hmm.
have. So but I think those were the things that like kept taking me out of following her
Mm-hmm.
narrative throughout. But I also thought like her story itself, I really wanted to watch Survivor because I wanted to watch what you were talking about, like how she was in Traders and Survivor and how like she evolved over
Mm-hmm.
time. Because I remember you saying specifically that like in the last version of Survivor, she was a beast. Like it
Killed
was
it.
very
Killed it.
clear that she did
Yes,
work.
I still think
Yeah.
you should watch it. It was masterful play. You have to watch how she maneuvered the hardest time where she's so close to get voted out, like so little thing, pick up on little signal in the plan, flip it on. It was masterful. It was amazing, amazing to watch. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, which makes sense connected to what she talks about, like how oh, that was the other thing that I felt confused by. She sometimes would talk about how she was so good at manipulating, and then other times talk about like how she was kind of a damsel. And I was like, I'm having a really hard time following which thread is you, baby
Mm-hmm.
girl. So she would talk about in high school how she knew how to manipulate everybody with a soft baby voice or a raspy voice. And then she like would make friends with all whatever. Like she was basically Miss Popular. She like had all the tools and resources to succeed. And then on the flip side, she kind of sound like weak and unsure of herself and needed to find her strength. And maybe that's where existential kinks comes in because she was realizing like the manipulation she did to fit in was really the manipulation she needed to own.
1000%. And I think this is exactly what for me is so impressive about her story is that she did get vulnerable as she was writing this book. I did feel that she didn't hold back, that she didn't I didn't read it and I felt that she was trying to tweak something. I think she was just laying things as they are. She could have held back on things if she wanted to. Um So I did like the psychological element where like she brought me into now that she understands why she was doing what she was doing back then. So even in high school, like when she says that she just wanted to be the friendlier, like it was always about wanting to be liked and wanting to be like loved by other people. And that was always her go-to. And that's why she used to like, be flirt with the guys, with the girls, like back in high school or whatnot. It was always like that part of it. It's just like interesting to see like how actually that shows up in her life down the road as she's playing Survivor or even after winning that first season that she won, how the people reacted to that. And that was I don't know if you remember that part, but when she won like the biggest
When her family was there?
not when her family, after she won, how society and the public reacted to it. Because that first season,
Um,
she brought a group of women from all different races and colors, and they voted the men one by one by one. It was crazy to watch it, in the works. But yeah, the society, I think back then it was 2011, reality TV in the US, they were not ready to see a woman show this much power. Like, if you remember that part in of the book, she said like she would.
and I remember she was like, "I got slut shamed and
Mm-hmm.
canceled before we had the words for
Mm-hmm.
canceled and slut shames before it was not
Yeah.
okay." So she would just pass by that blogger who would be calling everybody a skank and a slut, and it was okay. And now you'd be
Yeah.
canceled for talking that
She
way.
even mentioned like she saw a picture on the internet that this guy was doing the same thing. And then they had a picture of her with like basically semen all over her face and calling her slut. Can you imagine? For what? For
Yeah, no, I
winning a
wouldn't.
show? Playing a smarter, like, this is really crazy. And like this other girl one time stopped her at a coffee shop and she's like, "Hey, are you Parvati from Survivor?" She's like, "Yeah, my husband and I fucking hate you."
Yeah, and there's we hate your voice, we hate that, and, like, I think people don't realize, like, you're a fucking human, like, I did relate to those, not relate, but I did feel bad in those parts because I think people, yeah, like, they start to think they know everything about you, and people forget that, like, it's edited a certain
Mm-hmm.
way, so it's not like you're getting the full picture of what really happened, you're getting the edit that will create the most
Mm-hmm.
excitement around the
Yeah.
show.
But what
So, yeah, I can't imagine having been in the limelight at that
And that's
time.
what's for me is really interesting is that what she did after that is that she won the show, but because of the reaction she got from the public, it got into her head where like now she was trying to overcompensate to please others and bring back her image. She spent all the money that she won on the show to go open a rehab to try to prove that she's a good person. See, I'm trying to heal and da 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 da. Like she just went on this whole journey of like it was crazy to see like 15 years of that. She was 23 or 24 when she won. And she was like, what, 40 when she started writing that book? About 15, 16 years of that. How many times we do that in our life? So that was for me was really interesting how like you get sucked into that cycle of like trying to prove something for people, even though there's nothing wrong with you. You're just, ruining your life through that. Even like the getting married, like to prove that, I'm married. See, I'm good. Like I'm a mother now. I'm a wife. And then it was like, I'm miserable.
Maybe I'm so annoyed by her because I relate to her too much and it's like making
Mm.
me face myself and I don't like it. Like maybe that's what's
Is this
happening.
it?
Because I also realize like main characters a lot that I cannot stand. I am like, shit, that's how I sound, like, that's how I talk, like, sometimes I'm type A exactly like that, and then I'm like, "Alright, baby girl, like, do you wanna loosen up? Like, what do you want?" It's usually like tight, like, nervous, overthinking, overdoing characters, and I obviously am a recovering people pleaser, so maybe that's what set me off about her
Oh,
narrative.
that, Emma,
It's
this is good.
possible,
No,
it's not where we're
yes, but
landing.
this is good insight that you were able to look at. Okay, that makes sense. I could see it if that's what triggered you. I mean, it could be that because I didn't read it through that lens because that was not her experience was not my experience, but I was just like reading it from the outside. So maybe.
Yeah, I think that's something about us that we always notice when we're watching something. You are really good at staying objective and just watching it as a story unfold, like couples therapy or whatever, like Parvati's story. Whereas I need to step in their shoes, and where I can't, I qualify, justify, push against, like, and I do think that's something that I probably need to work
Mm.
on. but I think it also comes from like 10 years of acting and doing deep character analysis. Like, if I don't understand every one of your moves, I can't really like portray
Mm,
you. I can't understand you. I can't be your
mm.
lights. But like, that's not what she's asking of me. She's just asked us to read her fucking story.
Yeah.
So maybe I need to separate a little bit. But I like that you're able to do that. I'm like, no, that's not actual poverty. This is actual. But shut the fuck up, ML. That's her version of poverty. Shut
That
the fuck up.
I mean, it is true if you think about it. Yeah, shut the fuck up because I mean, they have their own experience. I mean, their experience is not my experience. It doesn't mean that was not her experience.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe again, it rubbed me the wrong way because maybe I'm like, I know my potential is to write this book.
Mm.
And
Oh my
her,
god.
you know what I mean? Like her success is angering my demons kind of thing. And I think that's a perfect segue into talking about like the concept of existential kinks, unless there's more you want to say about your girl and this book.
Is there more I want to say? Yes, the only other thing I wanted to say that was really interesting to me is I actually think I wrote it down somewhere is when she actually moved from her husband to starting to date May at that point.
Oh, I wanted to talk about that too. When I saw what she said about May, like how May treated her, how May surprised her, how May saw her, I was like, damn, I think I need to try to date a woman or a non man
Yeah.
situation because I have never been with a man who treated me the way
Mm-hmm.
May treats her.
Mm-hmm.
Never in my
But
life.
what I did like is that moment when she describes on the pier where like she held her hand and there was two guys walking towards her and that was the first time she would experience what it feels like to be, you know, LGBT. And then at that point, she was like, "Is this safe? Am I safe? Like, do I need?" And then she looked at May, and May was just like, "Oh, that's another day of my life. Like, there's no da, da." And that kind of made her, you know, trigger that question in her head. And then she said, which is my favorite thing from the whole book, what is safe anyway? Is it a big, strong man who would fight those guys for me? Or is it someone whom I trust to hold me steady in the midst of my fear? Someone who allows me to be myself, exploring new territory, be vulnerable, and share my deepest feelings.
That is so valid. It is very, yeah. What are your thoughts on it? Why is that your
Because
favorite?
it's amazing, because that's what we think about safety. And I think a lot of women seek safety in that sense, which is the same safety they're trying to get from the other men who they feel threatened by. And then at the end of the day, the only safety that we all care about is our emotional safety. And that's not usually our first thing that we think about. So I just love that realization in the moment is that when we think about safety, it's usually we go for physical, but that's not the most
Hmm.
important thing because you might be hurting way more emotionally if you're not safe emotionally.
I saw a post that I wanted to share with you today that said, healers need to be with protectors. It's absolutely right. If you're going to be a loving, generous, overly kind soul, you need somebody that protects that love from the wrong place. Wait, what? If you're going to be a loving, generous, overly kind soul, you need somebody that protects that love. I don't know why it says from the wrong place, but like from the right place is probably it. Like, point is, healers need to be with protectors because I know I'm very
Mm,
loving and kind. And what happens is I end up trying to like date broken fucking people, projects, whatever, and be there for them and provide a safe space for them. And then all that happens is they don't provide the safe space back.
mm-hmm,
And I remember the other day in my drama that you know about, I was like I'm not asking you, I have not asked you for any gift, anything. I've asked you to just create a safe space for me emotionally to like be bright,
yeah,
to live, to exist. So that quote was actually very beautiful. I'm glad you read it.
yeah. I mean, I relate to that too. Me and you were talking about that because I think we both shared that similar approach in relationships where like we try to create something like to fix or someone to be saved or I don't know what it is, but there's something about that we got attracted to. I think maybe it makes us feel better about themselves. This is where existential kink comes in, and I need to dive in deeper into that. uh, but I mean, that is something that I just discovered in my marriage as well. And we've been talking about that for the last 3 weeks, is that when we first started dating, I thought that I wanted, like, I didn't need to be, you know, mothered or need to be taken care of emotionally, or like I'm a man, especially like an Arab man. Like, this is what you do. You don't need all of that. And here I am 8 years into my marriage. I'm like, actually, that's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I've been missing. And that's the conversation that me and my husband are having right now, is about, this is what I want. How do we move forward with getting my needs met in that sense? So yeah, I think there's something about me and you that are screwed up in that way that, yeah. But this is where, Existential Kink helped me get to that place, moving to the second book. So do we want to talk about Existential Kink a little bit, what it is and how do we get there?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you want to or
Go
should
for
I?
it.
Okay, so existential kinks as a concept, as I understand it, is derived from the same as Carl Jung's shadow work. Eckhart Tolle talks about it in A New Earth in the concept of pain bodies, and what you resist persists. So basically, like the things you push against are the things that you actually want, and the things that really upset you about other human beings. Like, why do liars upset you so much, or selfish people, or people who wear whatever they want to wear, or being loving whoever they want to love? Why does that piss certain people off so much? Shadow work tells us that it's probably because something in them wants what they are seeing and are not allowing themselves to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's causing the triggers. I have not finished reading Existential Kinks, but because I have that background of the other works, I kind of understand it, but I got to get through Existential Kinks itself, which takes that and builds upon it to say, now let's figure out how to do the shadow work. And like, if let's say you find yourself in a relationship where you're constantly dating projects, maybe it's because you like feeling better than other people. Now let's figure out how to incorporate what you actually like instead of putting it in toxic places in your life. Let's incorporate it into your life in a way that you can thrive and own your full self and your full shadow.
Yeah.
Is
That
that
is
right?
exactly it. What I really like about it is, usually we learn in books, or even like The Secret with manifesting or whatnot, it's usually like just ask for it and it comes to you. But what this book highlights is that there is this extra layer in your subconscious, is that you're gonna always keep attracting, just by your day-to-day behavior, things that you are ashamed of admitting that you want and need, regardless of where they come from. But the fact that you're not acknowledging them, you keep thinking that it's something to be ashamed of, and like, I don't want to highlight or pursue, or like, this is really bad. I can't want this. I can't want pain. I can't want to be submissive in a sexual relationship. I can't want to be humiliated. I
Money.
can't want money, or whatever it is, or I can't have money, or I'm not capable. Like, it could be even self doubt. Whatever it is, it's always coming from something negative in your subconscious that is holding you back. And it's not until you become aware of it and you work through, it's okay to have that, and now start to find joy into it. Basically, the way she describes it is like, start getting off of that feeling, and then only when you do that, this feeling starts showing up in your life in more positive ways, rather than leaking out in areas where like you can't really control yourself. So, like it or not.
Can you give an example of how it would play out? Like, since you read the book and maybe did some of the exercises, like what's a way to take something that is in your shadow work or whatever? Is it existential
Mhm.
kink? And what is a way to put it into your life?
So, for example, and this is a sexual example. So, one of the examples that she said in the book, because I haven't done the exercise myself, I'm still a little scared. I need to be in the right
We
mindset.
suck.
I read the whole
Yeah.
book, but like, doing the exercise is gonna take like an emotional toll, because you're really diving into it. So that's my plan. But one of the examples that she explained, she always has been in relationship that were actually physically abusive to her, the writer of the book. And what she does is that she always they keep like throwing a book or a cup at her or whatnot, and then she would like break up with them. And then the next morning she calls them again in a soft voice and be like, "Hi, I missed you, come back." And like, they would come back the first 2 hours, they would just like lovey romance, like, we're gonna fix everything. They would have sex and afterwards go back to that same pattern. And it wasn't until she
Mm.
realized that she actually enjoys being abused. And I know it is really crazy to think about, and it's really crazy to even admit that you do like this aggressiveness in your life, that she started to, now that she is aware of it, she started to put it in a specific box, which is usually in a safe sexual area where she would agree with the partner, like, it's okay to do this, this, and that. Maybe tie me up, maybe a little bondage, maybe a little flogging, or whatever it is that, like, it would get it out of her system, but in a safe, playful way where, like, now she can actually get off of it rather than keep hiding and saying, like, I don't want this. This is not okay. This is embarrassing. How dare you want to be abused or thinking you like to be abused? And it's going to come up now in her life when she's only attracting. You always hear the girls who like the bad boy, or like they want to, it's coming off in those areas, like it or not. And this is not healthy. So now that she's doing that, now that she was aware of it, she started to attract healthier relationships in her life with men that are stable and will treat her right. But that need of this, so you know how, like, people usually would be like, oh, he's too boring, I like a little argument or whatever. And it's not the boring, it's just there's this kink that you want to get off of, but because you're not allowing it to come out in those areas that you are controlling, it's just going to leak in those relationships. So I thought that was a really, really good example. Another good example was money as well. Even though she had a PhD, she was sleeping on, like, a friend's couch for like 2 years, not making barely any money and whatnot. And she just always assumed, or she had a relationship with money that is negative, like it's a bad thing to have, or like not worthy to have and whatnot. And it wasn't until she realized that, no, I actually do deserve money. I can make more money. Then she went and hired a coach, and like she started to look into coaching possibilities. And then she started to pay for a coach $1,000 an hour to teach her how to become a coach. And then she started to charge other people. But at first she was like, who's going to pay $1,000 an hour for my coaching? Like, what is it so special? Like, this is no way it's going to happen. But she went out there, she found it for herself, and then she became one. And now she wrote a book and she did all of that. But that's the same thing. If you remember Parvati's book, when she was struggling financially, she was like, where do I make money? I can't hold a corporate job. What do I do? She went and spent $9,000 that she had in her saving to hire a coach to teach her how to coach. And then she's been coaching. And now if I look at her pricing online, I think it starts at like something like 1,500 up to 25,000. Not per session, but like coaching or whatnot. But that's the point that I'm trying to make.
I'm interested in like the difference between the two of them because for Parvati, because she has all of those TV appearances and this like big name, I feel like it's easier to say, yeah, of course people are going to pay for her time because they think there's a secret to her sauce and we watched her win Survivor a million times. There's something
Mm-hmm.
there. But with this Carolyn, the Existential Kinks, I'm really actually excited to read her journey because as far as I know, she's not this
Mm-hmm.
big like reality star or whatever. And so for her to get from nothing to something, like the answer to that question, like, who the fuck am I to charge XYZ? What have I
Mm-hmm.
done to be able to say, I can do this? Like, that's something I want to lean into to understand because I know that's a big doubt of mine, even with my amazing resume as it is across all of storytelling. Sometimes I'm like, do you have enough credibility to talk about this? And I'm like, bitch, yes, you do. Like, yes, but anyway, I'm excited to read
You
it
know what?
for
I
that.
think it's all in our head. It's not just about the credibility. Like, I see it now because I'm doing more social media with my financial page, and I do look at
Love it.
other people's financial page, and they all have the same exact material that there. It's not like what we all are saying is not rocket science. Each person has like their own way of like telling it. It's like, this is how a Roth
Yeah.
IRA goes. This is how you should do it, but they're all selling courses online, selling an Excel, I don't know, template of like how to do a budget. They're all just budgets. None of those tools are going to work if the psychology behind it is not, if you're not as a consumer and the right mindset to pursue it. It's like hiring a coach, a trainer at the gym. They're all gonna give you almost the same exercises. This is how you do biceps. This is how you do chest. Da, 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 da. But like, it's up to you. Like, who do you relate to? And I think this is the key. Is that maybe with Parvati, people were able to relate to her because of her style, and I think maybe Carolyn's the same thing too. Like, when you start seeing how she's doing and presenting the material, maybe that's how you start getting your clients.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So one thing is, what was your financial page again?
Overthink with Noel.
Okay. I wanted to say like, yeah, I agree because when I think about me and the branding, the thing I hear from people often is authenticity. Like I'm very bare bones. I just say what it is. I make mistakes in public. And I think that makes people feel a bit of safety. Is that an example of like what you're talking about? Like the difference in how you get through to people?
Yes. And yes, I think safety and relatability. Like one of the guys that I follow, he was a school teacher. So I think a lot of his followers are like, oh, school teacher, one of us, he's not like this big stock market guy who's
Mm,
trying to come and tell you I'm better than others. But you have someone else like Vivian, your rich BFF. She used to work in the stock market or something like that. I don't know if you've seen her online. Like she has a lot of videos, but
uh-huh.
like she comes from money too. So it's like, but she has like the Asian friendly. It's like I'm your BFF. So there's this relatability somehow for her, and it's not like as threatening. But then you have other like just your white regular bro dude that they're gonna. I think each person's gonna have their own niche, and then some people have
Yeah.
this style that relates to them more than others, and it depends on like what kind of clients you want to work with.
And at yours, at Overthink with Noel, the niche is about the psychology of money and like why you're making the choices that you're making and connecting it back to those inner thoughts, right?
1000%, because for me, I truly believe that it is about the psychology. If you don't understand why you are behaving the way you are behaving, same thing with relationship. If you don't understand why you are dating those type of people, what is your kink, then you're not going to start changing your habits to start looking for healthier people or having a healthier relationship with money. So it's the same thing with money. You need to understand what kind of financial situation you grew up in. What is your relationship with money? What are the lessons that you were told? How did you see your parents handle financials growing up? All of this shapes your pattern, how you move in the world. If you were poor, you might be spending more money because, like, now that I make money, I want to spend more money on this, on that, but it's not really bringing you happiness. So, yeah, I think
No, and I want to add to that and your community because, first of all, you're my bestie. And since you and I have talked, I'm 1 year away from clearing all my debt and making more responsible decisions on a daily basis and like having the support and the know how because there's somebody next to me who can talk me through it and support me as I go on that journey, and like even again, the behaviors, like I didn't start even having a savings account until I was in grad school and that was because my best friend Nadine was like, "What the fuck you mean you don't have a savings account? Like, what do you mean?" And she looked at me crazy, and I was like, "Save what? Save what? You need money to save?" And she was like, "No, no, no. You work. Like, you have to pay yourself 10% first, or blah blah blah, like those things." And so, yeah, I just wanted to add to what you said. It's also the community around you. So if people around you aren't talking money and teaching you these things, just figure out who to put around you.
1000%. And I think that's why I guess for me, that's my niche. Like we talked, you have like the tech bro, you have like your rich BFF. For me, my target audience is major minorities that they don't hear that, or maybe they feel ashamed to go to a typical white tech bro who's gonna make him feel less than. I'm not saying they will, but they might feel that way. I know for me being LGBT, I always look at that. Like if I want to hire a financial advisor, if I want to hire a banker, a lawyer, I was like, are they going to be discriminating towards me? Now adding to that the Palestinian side, I was like, how are you about the? So these are things that we experience on everyday life, and for me, that's what it is. Like, I really want to help minorities, especially women, because I do want women to have more power and get out of this whole trad wife mentality. Like, good for you if your husband can make the money, but like, I need you to have some sort of income so that it gives you options and it gives you power to make decisions when your relationship doesn't work for you. Same thing for LGBT couples. Like, I want you to know that this is a safe place you can come and ask those questions. And immigrants, a lot of the Arabs, Indian, or any other immigrants, Hispanic that comes to the US, they do feel threatened because you are coming into a system that you don't know where to start with. I had no idea what K was. I remember first job I was like, what is 401k? Like no one was able to explain it to me. Most people don't even know. So yeah, I think this is my niche and this is the community that I'm trying to build, at least with my brand.
And more than that, the thing that you provide, I think that needs to be highlighted is more than the fact that this system does deny access to very specific marginalized groups who have historically been denied access to capital. You want to talk to someone that understands your journey, who has literally walked in your steps and has made something of themselves so that you can see yourself in
Mm-hmm.
them. To your point about the white tech bro, I'm not going to see myself in him, just like I didn't see myself in the vacationing people who went to Aruba and fucking thing. I'm like, why am I in this school with these people who drive
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes? I don't relate. I don't know. There was no way to bridge that gap. I think what you do with the psychology is say, I've been there. I am there. I know where you're coming from. Let me explain it to you. Let's talk to each other and figure out what exactly your limiting
Mm-hmm.
beliefs are and get
That's
past them.
exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
My specialty is communication.
Yes, yes, it is. But this is why you and I, we keep talking about we would like to see this podcast grow into a place where we build this community and start having retreats. And that's the idea that I'm so excited about one day, where we can build a group of people who enjoy those conversations that we have, and we come together and we support each other. You want to become an entrepreneur. This is how you do it. This is the type of LLC you should open. This is how you handle your finances. This is how you do communication, social media. This is how you do public speaking. So it's like creating this group of people who can just all support each other and talking relationship and friendship. Like, this is what we need more of. Like that video I sent to you this morning. White robes and all.
Not like KKK robes, like fancy robes of like
Shower
relaxation and
robes.
luxury. Yeah, shower robes. And I think the other thing that's really important that I want people to understand that I didn't understand until I started working in the impact first investing space where, that's my full time. These people that already have the wealth, they are passing down this knowledge. They are passing down these opportunities. And everything that seems ghetto, low class, and poor, like that is labeled that to us, is their regular life. For example, I remember when I first wanted my first camera for creating auditions or filming auditions before iPhone cameras were a thing, aging myself. I don't give a fuck. Look at me. Anyway, so I bought like a Canon and I had no money again. And so it was my birthday and I just told all my friends, I said, if you're interested in getting me anything, contribute to my camera fund. And I bought my first camera and I ended up booking many auditions. But I remember certain people around me feeling so cringe about that decision of mine to go to friends and family for what I needed. Meanwhile, rich people, wealthy people actually have what's called friends and family funds. When they want to start a project, they first go to their close community and say, will you invest in my business
Mm-hmm.
idea? And then they get a ton of investments and get going. Whereas we see it as a handout, or we have been taught to see it as a handout. It is not. We need to start having these conversations intentionally of where we are and where we want to get. What is the information you have? Don't fucking gatekeep it. Give it to me and I will give you what, like, we have to move up together because the wealth gap is just getting larger and larger. And those who have control are going to keep control and keep it away from us. So we have to work together and stop letting them pit us against each other.
Whichever finger
Thanks
that
for your
is,
thinking.
or this,
Yeah, me neither.
whatever,
Still trying to
one of
learn.
those. But
But
yes.
it's true. It's true. It's kind of like that saying, that thing about like what's ghetto if you're poor or something, or if you're a person of color, but classy if you're rich. And it's like speaking multiple languages. Like if we speak multiple languages as us, it's like, oh yeah, they must be low class. But then when you're rich, it's like I speak 9 languages, and but it's like,
Mm-hmm.
fuck you very
Mm-hmm.
much. Or getting help from the government. The banks could get loaned out. All of these people could get like tax breaks and all of these things. They get direct help from the government. They never borrow against actual loans. Meanwhile, if people who are economically disadvantaged like do try to get the same help, now they're a problem. They're a burden on the system. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, sorry, I just had to.
That's nailed it. Mic drop.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, mic drop. Okay. I think that's good for existential kinks.
Yes.
We can pick that one back up after we do the exercises and talk about how we did, because my current kink that I'm trying to figure out is why I date people that don't keep me emotionally safe, and why I date projects. And I'm trying to figure out if I just like being controlling in a way. Like in a way, I know better than them when it comes to certain things. And maybe I like feeling that. And instead of giving myself a headache, aging myself, wasting my time, and dimming my light, maybe I become a dom or something. I don't fucking know. But this ain't gonna do. This is not gonna do. So I'm excited to keep talking as essential
As a
kinks.
suggestion, and the answer can be no, would you like to do the exercises together? Like as you're reading, let's say exercise one, because you read it and then you actually do the exercise. Because I would like to reread it and do the exercise because the part of those exercises, like after you read it, she recommends that you would actually read to a friend or someone.
Oh,
Yes, your list. And then the whole goal of it is that you write it down on a paper and then you have to tear it down to signal to your subconscious is that because the first exercise thing like I fear this, I fear this, I fear this. You put it out in the universe and then you have to tear it down, but you have to say it to someone so that it actually resonates and gets out of your subconscious so that you don't feel that fear anymore. But there's other exercises too.
yeah.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah, I'm down. Did you wanna do this, like, streaming so people could see our
We
process?
can.
Because I'm
We can
also,
do.
I'm an open
Too.
book. Yeah, I'm down for that. So should I read the whole book and then we go back into the exercises, or do I stop at the exercise and then do it
Whichever you want.
here?
We can do either or both.
So it doesn't
I
impact the
I read
process
the
if I
whole thing
know.
because I was just curious first, and I was gonna go back and reread exercise one and then do it, and then read exercise two. That
Okay.
was my goal. So if you want, we can stop at each exercise as you're doing and actually do the exercise.
Yeah, I'll do
The
it
only
that
thing is
way.
that some of the exercises like takes a week long. Like every day you have to journal
Uh-huh.
about it. Some of them, not all of them.
Okay. So when I get to the first exercise, I will see if it's a week one or
Yeah, yeah.
like hour one, and then I will save that one for here and just pause. So I'll take my
Yeah.
time with this book because I've been enjoying a lot of fantasy books lately.
Yay.
Yay. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left to go over Midnight Library, which is now one of my like it's up there with The Alchemist. Like it's one of my
So
favorites now.
good, so good. Show it up on the camera because I can't see it clearly. Yes, The Midnight Library. I don't know why I talk closer to the mic. Matt Haig.
Yeah, Matt
Okay.
Haig. I love this book so much because I felt like
Do you
I
want to say
really
first
related.
what the book is about? Can you read the back
Yes.
cover? Does it say?
We all have regrets, choices we could have made differently, paths we didn't take, other lives we might have led. But what if you were given a chance to fix your past? Enter the Midnight Library. Nora's life has been going from bad to worse. Then, at the stroke of midnight, on her last day on Earth, she finds herself transported to the Midnight Library, where each book contains an alternate life, a possible world in which she made different choices. She is given what seems like the ultimate opportunity, a chance to undo her regrets and try out each of the other lives she might have lived. But things aren't always what she imagined they'd be, and soon her choices place the library and herself in extreme danger. Before time runs out, she must answer the ultimate question. With infinite choices, what is the best way to live? Do you want to go
I
first on your
again,
thoughts or why you love
again,
this book?
what I really, really love about this book is, at least for me, that was the highlight, which I didn't even know that was in the back of it. It was the word regret and the
Me
fear
too.
of regret. Regretting decisions that you didn't make in the past and the fear of regret of decisions that you might make in the future. And that's the key. And that was my takeaway from the book is the more you keep living with regret in your life, the more it would freeze you and hold you back from making decisions.
Yes. And I love when you and I were talking about that. I had not connected what you said. I remember thinking, shit, like my fear in making a decision is tied to my fear of regretting that decision. And that connects to there was one page I put a bobby pin on because I was like, oh, no, I don't want to like I highlight all my pages and stuff, but this one says Nora had always had a problem accepting herself. From as far back as she could remember, she'd had this sense that she wasn't enough. Her parents, who both had their own insecurities had encouraged that idea. She imagined now what it would be like to accept herself completely. Every mistake she had ever made, every mark on her body, every dream she hadn't reached or pain she had felt, every lust or longing she had suppressed. She imagined accepting it all, the way she accepted nature, the way she accepted a glacier or a puffin or the breach of a whale. She imagined seeing herself as just another brilliant freak of nature, just another sentient animal trying their best. And in doing so, she imagined what it was like to be free. That part struck me so much because it wasn't until I got to the line that said, the way she accepted nature, the way she accepted blah, blah, blah. And I was like, holy crap, I don't accept myself the way that I accept others, the way that I accept nature, the way that I am so loving of everything out that is part of my light. Like that is part of what makes people feel safe around me is they know they're safe around me. But the problem is I am not safe around
Mm,
me because I self abandon or I worry that I'm not making the right choice or I don't trust myself that even if I made the wrong decision, I'm going to land on my
mm.
feet. So I overthink, I overanalyze, I don't accept, I blah blah blah, I regret instead of dream. When I'm dim, that's who I am. When I'm at my brightest, I am willing to take a chance. And that's how I know if I'm around people who are good for me or not good for me, based on how much I worry about taking chances.
Wow. That reminds me actually of one of my therapy session when I was telling my therapist about how I move in the world because like I worry if someone is a Zionist and not okay with me being Palestinian, someone is homophobic, da da da. And then she stopped me and she was like, how do you feel about gay people? Do you judge them?
Mm.
Do you see them less than? Because that was exactly the point of the book. Just accept yourself the same way you just accept nature. If you do, you stop moving, worrying how people are. And I'm not saying someone could listen to this right now and say, but this is not the reality. This is delusional. There is homophobic people. There is Zionists out there. There is racist people. Yes, but that's not the point. The point is when you move with always precautions because like, oh, someone's going to attack me or someone's going to do this to me, it's it's different than you just move like this is normal. This is just nature. But then if something happens to you, then you react to it.
Yeah. And I think that goes to the trust. Like, okay, I'm going to say, and I've been doing this work lately where I hadn't, the rule is you can be who you want to be on Instagram, but on LinkedIn, you have to be this professional, polished version. And lately, I've just kind of been myself. And I mention Palestine and I mention crying and I mention my fears and then I mention my joys. And I'm A-OK, like presenting myself on LinkedIn, whatever the fuck way I
Mm-hmm.
want. Because if somebody comes back to my company and says, well, she's too loud about being Palestinian, good. And my company says, first of all, my company would say, you're the fucking problem, not her, because we walk the walk and talk the talk. But if they did surprise me, how everything is like progressive except for Palestine, if that did happen, great. It takes it out of the way for
Mm-hmm.
me. It moves you closer to alignment.
I love that.
And so I think we have to stop worrying about other people not choosing us, other people rejecting us, and know that like, no, we are gonna reject. Like we are gonna move with the power.
This reminds me of, remember that page of that girl that I ran into and I shared with you? Sorry, I'm just looking it up as we're speaking right now. The one who has like a TikTok where people would call in and then she would discuss body counts or whatever it is that she's discussing.
Oh, the dating coach?
Yes. Wait,
Yeah.
what's her name? It's her page is called Canada's Dating Coach, and her name is she doesn't even have a name on there. Okay, cool. No name.
Okay.
About me. Is there a name? No name. But anyway, I was curious about her name. Maybe Chantal.
Yeah, I see. Let it go. Let it go. We'll get it. But does it affect the story?
It does not. Yes, Chantal Haiti. But what I really love is that when she's arguing with people, she always say, like she had someone who would like contradicting the idea or like trying to give an argument about the body counts. And then she's like, why do you think that you not dating me or you not wanting someone like me is a disadvantage for me? She's like, no, it's not a disadvantage. You're saving me time from getting rid of you down the road. You are getting rid of yourself because this is not the type of people I want in my life. And I'm like, this is amazing. I love
I
that.
love that video too. Because he wasn't understand. He kept trying to like, and I think that's a great lesson. And just the way she was talking, it helped me understand. Like, there's a lot of people who try to make you explain yourself if they don't agree with you. And she was like, I don't even have to do
Mm-hmm.
that. Like, if you don't understand where I'm coming from, and it there's a difference, right? Like if you're hearing this out of context, you're like, no, you're supposed to talk, blah, blah. No, she said, what I'm looking for in a relationship is trust, vulnerability, authenticity. Like she had a bunch of words on the screen. And she was like, if you are not, like, you are not believing my experience, you're not giving me trust. I don't want you. Get off my screen. Like, I'm not waiting for you to choose me. I'm not choosing you. My salama.
Exactly.
Go with peace.
Exactly.
And I love that. It was so fucking
Yeah.
empowering.
It was so empowering.
But back to Midnight Library, I think the other thing back to regrets that I loved that was so empowering, it was like you can close those loops. Like you don't need to forever regret the fact that some loops you can't close, right? Like the last words I said to my mom, can't change
Mhm,
those. But the fact that I haven't published this book that I really want to publish, sit the fuck down and
mhm,
publish it. It doesn't have to
mhm.
remain a regret. So I really liked like how I felt hope in it.
But what I do like too, like you just said the last words about your mom, what I like about reshifting the idea of regret, because when she goes back and she lives different story, like different lives based on each book that she picks up and different decisions that she made to lead to those, each story she had a different negative outcome that she didn't have in her original story. So I guess the lesson for me is that you're always going to have some sort of outcome that you don't know what it's going to be. And you just need to let go of regretting and just accepting this is where I'm at. What can I do now moving forward? And one, like the biggest thing in her life is that she regretted allowing her cat to be an outdoor cat. And like one day the cat died, well, I don't know, by a car or something like that. And then it turned out in all the other lives, the cat already died even earlier than she had it in her actual life. And it's because the cat was an outdoor cat in that life that she actually lived longer than the other lives. So that's just like one
Yes,
of the
and
example.
the cat she thought died from a car accident, and that's why she was blaming herself, but it's actually the cat died from a heart problem, and you assumed it was a car, and then you guilted yourself over
Mm-hmm.
something that wasn't a fact. And that connects to, like, in the again, spoiler alert, when her brother and her are talking in her, like, real world, and he's like, "I never could have imagined that your life was so hard, my life was so hard." But she spends the whole book explaining how her brother had it easy. So from her perspective, he had it easy, and from his perspective, she was the best at everything. And they were, like, in a way, making each other feel bad about life and being pit against each other by their parents. And it affected their relationship into adulthood, which is something, I can relate to. And I'm sure a lot of other people with siblings can relate
Mm-hmm.
to. It's like, you don't actually know what
Mm-hmm.
happened. Stop telling yourself a story as if it's fact.
I love that ending.
Yeah. It was a really good book. There's a lot more I could say about it. And this is actually one, like, when I looked through the Parvati thing, I was like, I don't think I highlighted anything. But with this one, I said, do one thing differently and then you do everything differently, or something
Mm,
with like a concept. Like, and that reminded me of Atomic Habits, where it's like you change one habit, maybe you wake up early, then that domino effects into other behaviors
yep.
that you want to have. Something I saw on Instagram the other day, I know we're at time. Something I saw on Instagram the other day that I want to try doing, it was like a video. This guy, he said, this is how you quantum leap in your current reality. You have to have, for 3 days straight, live exactly the life that you want. Like the person that you are trying to become, just pretend for 3 days to be that person. Do whatever they would do and do it all with extreme gratitude and curiosity. Like like action you do, no matter how boring it is, if it's writing a freaking email, signing into a Zoom, do it with excitement and curiosity just for 3 days. And it says like you quantum leap into like that reality. And so I don't know how much I believe that. I haven't tried it yet. So I'll let you know. But I do love the idea of going back to Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart, even though we don't really fuck with her information was helpful, and it was just kind of that, like, more awe, more wonder, more excitement about what tomorrow could hold, which, instead of thinking about what I might regret about my decisions, how about like what I might experience by trying something new, by staying curious. So I think that's what I'm getting from all of these books, from Parvati's fucking survivor of trying something new, leaving her man, even if it felt like it was the bad time to do it. Fucking Midnight Library, like why we regretting so hard on ourselves and what it looks like to try something new. And then Existential Kinks of like paying attention to and leaning into what might feel dark. Is I'm kind of in a cool journey along with you
Uh,
with this.
what a good summary. Honestly, how they all, it just makes sense. It just makes sense. Love it.
It
Love
does
it.
make
Love
sense,
it.
and I'm also a communications professional, remember, so
Yes.
this is what the fuck I does,
Yes.
Noel. But no, these were really great books, and I'm glad you led us pretty much through all of these, even though you remember how I ended up having this one by accident, but it was serendipitous that I had just bought this one as you were like, "I need to jump back into this book to alive myself again."
Wow. Love this shit. And I'm like, now, do we need to keep doing this? Like, get more books and read it and discuss it? Because those were so interesting. I love, 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 love this thing. So maybe we do. Maybe we pick a book or something and we have an episode of that. But that was really fun.
We'll just first we'll do this.
Yes.
We'll finish this, and then yes, and I loved how we each had like happened to have a passage that we really
Mm-hmm.
loved, like from the book,
Mm-hmm.
that spoke to us. That was
Yep.
cool. Yes, I'm with you. Let's do
Okay.
this.
All right. I guess we'll call this a wrap. That was really good. Next week we have a special episode with someone special, so tune in. And it's okay, Habibi, I guess.
Oh yeah, please like and subscribe and actually leave a comment. It all makes a freaking difference, especially the reviews. It really helps us out. So please do that. To those of you who have been commenting, what I wanted to pitch to Noelle is that we'll actually start reading your comments on air about the last episode because they have been really cool to read. So we'll shout you out if you're okay with it.
Yes. And if you've read any of those books, I guess leave us comments. Let us know what your thoughts are. Argue with us about it. We like arguments, so we'll play with it.
Yes, that's our kink.
Yes,
Okay. All right.
the way you said it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, please consider leaving a comment and a review. It helps us improve and reach more people.
We're all just trying to figure it out one conversation at a time. So go easy on yourself, trust the process, and remember, it's okay, Habibi.